but it actually drops the suspension down. So not only is your ride height changed, but also your seat height, which is cool. All right guys, so today we are taking out the Tiger 1200 Rally Pro out for a test ride, little ride review video here. So I know I've already done the 900. Okay, so there are some differences between the 9 and the 12 that exceed just the engine size. The big one being that these the 1200s come with electronic adjustable suspension front and rear, whereas that is not an option front and rear on the 900 Rally Pro. The 900 GT Pro has the adjustability on the rear, but not the front. So fully adjustable. Another big glaring difference that you're going to notice right off the bat here is going to be that this is going to be shaft driven, not chain driven. So a little bit smoother, a lot less maintenance for you. All in all, the size of the bike is noticeable. It is a bigger motorcycle. I am 6 foot with a 32-inch inseam, and even in the low position, I will say this bike does feel a little tall, but that's pretty typical with these big displacement adventure bikes. They did a beautiful job with the colorway as usual, and of course this one, like I was saying, has the electronic adjustable suspension that you're using Showa for that system. So we're going to walk around here. Of course, just like any of the other Tigers, you're going to have the adjustable seat height. I actually have this in the low position. I know I'm usually a high guy, but it's in the low position just because it kind of feels a little bit better for me on this bike personally. Your mileage may vary on that, so let's hop up on here, kind of show you a couple things real quick. Okay, so feature-wise, you're going to be very similar to what you're seeing with the Tiger 900. Of course, just like any other Tiger, pull up, pull down windshield adjustment, which is super nice. Up here, you're going to have your high beams, your fog lights, heated seat, heated grips. Right here is going to be your cruise control, which I know I've already talked about, but I'm really excited to do it again because it feels great. And then your little menu control switch here, home button. Now, the difference is that this is a key fob bike, so what you'll notice is obviously there's no ignition key slot up here. So the two main differences are going to be right up top here. You're going to have a lock and unlock for your steering for when you park. And then this is going to be your kind of four-way rocker switch as far as you're going to have your power on and off, kill, run, and start all on the same switch. Now, as far as ride modes go, very similar to what we've already seen with the Tiger 900. You've got a rider configurable mode. You have rain, road, sport, off-road, and off-road pro. Now, the big difference that you're going to notice on here is there's one more menu option, which is going to be your suspension settings. So it is going to adjust your suspension depending on what ride mode you are currently in. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it in road real quick here. Okay, so now that we're in road, when you actually hit the home button and you get in here, you can actually adjust the dampening. So when you go into the adjust your dampening, you can kind of control basically how stiff that suspension feels just off of this. So you can go all the way up to bump it all the way up, or all the way down, just depending on what it is that you're wanting to do and your preferred preference there. Otherwise, a lot of the same stuff in here as my Tiger 900 video, but you do have different riding aids. You can go warnings, you can go service light, all that stuff in there. Settings, of course, you have two different color modes for your menus. And then down here, this does have the Tiumph connectivity. So navigation turn-by-turn directions. You could read your text messages right off the dash there, answer phone calls, control music. You can even turn a GoPro on and off, which I think is super cool. I don't know of any other bike that has that as a feature. But we're going to go ahead and back out of that real quick. Rider triangle, of course, it's Tiumph, so it feels great. We're going to go ahead and pull off here. Very smooth, extremely smooth actually. I'm pretty impressed with how smooth that actually felt. All right, so we're gonna go hop on the freeway real quick here. And this does have Tiumph's quick shift on it. The Tiumph shift assist, I should say. Now, the aerodynamics is where I notice a big difference between this and the Tiger 900. I don't know exactly why. This has a lot less wind noise even in the lower position. Now, if I bring it up to the upper position, it virtually goes away. Still getting a little bit off the sides of the helmet, but that's because I kind of have a fat head, so it's kind of to be expected. comfort-wise, I will say this feels like it has a slight edge on the Tiger 900. Now, obviously, this is a significantly larger motorcycle. They do weigh quite a bit more as well. I think there's about a 50-pound difference. I will put the actual answer down here in the bottom. But you don't really notice it too much when you're riding. You kind of notice it more like getting it on the kickstand, getting it off the kickstand, stuff like that. Now, one of the things I have noticed almost immediately is this does feel slightly more smooth, and it is a little quieter than the chain drive bike, which is to be expected when you're switching over from chain over to a shaft driven motorcycle. It definitely feels phenomenal going down the highway. I mean, of course, we're only doing 64 miles an hour right now, but it feels really, really good. Now, again, I know I talked about this on the other video, but in case you haven't seen that one, A, go watch it, and B, the cruise control on these is very, very intuitive the way it works. So right now we're just cruising along. Now the way the cruise control works in these bikes is you have to be at least third gear and at least going 35 miles an hour for it to be able to engage. Right now we're cruising at 64 and 6, so no problem. I'm going to go ahead and just hit the set button once. That's going to turn the cruise control system on, and then you hit it again and it sets it, and then you could just cruise. Again, very much like the Tiger 900, I am not worried at all taking my hands off the bars. It's very easy to maneuver the bike just by kind of moving your weight around. It feels great. The seat is a lot cushier on this than the 900, I will say. So that definitely adds to the comfort level of this, which of course I would expect. I mean, the Tiger 900 is made to be more of an off-road kind of weapon, as opposed to the 1200, which, while it's still in the Rally Pro configuration, is set up to be a little bit more of that long touring, longer trips, big ride sort of bike. Now, does that mean you can't do that stuff on the 900? Absolutely not. You can absolutely take one of those 900s. I'd be willing to take one from Alaska to Chile tomorrow. But when it comes to the 1200, it's definitely going to handle a lot better on the road and just be a lot more comfortable for you on the road for if you are doing those longer trips like I was talking about. Now, obviously, we're creating a little bit of a gap here. If I want to bump up how fast we're going, you just hit the up button on the cruise control switch there, and it does it in increments of 1 mile an hour, which makes it really easy to dial it in. I'll set it at 70. Again, this whole time I've been riding no hands on the bars, and that's how smooth and straight tracking these motorcycles are. It's really like, it's so nice being able to take them off, give your hands a break while not having to stop full. Now, to turn the cruise control off, it's either clutch, brake, or roll the throttle forward. Personally, I found the smoothest way to do this is just to clutch in and lightly hit the front brake at the same time. That seems to be the least jolty way to do that. Of course, if you're going, it also depends on speed and gear and RPMs and stuff, but we'll get going again. I'll set it at 75. Now, if I roll the throttle forward, you can kind of see, probably even in the camera, how it just immediately cuts off power. So just kind of something I found personally that I kind of like to do is just do the clutch and do the brake at the same time. So now going back to the topic of the quick shifter on these bikes, perfect example of this is like right now, I am currently slowing down quite a bit. I'm going to get over here just so I don't actually run into somebody. But we're currently kind of coming up to a locked up freeway, which happens entirely too often up here. But what I really like is if you let off that throttle, we're in 6th, you just pop it down. Now we're in 5th, now we're in 4th, and again, no throttle input, no clutch input, obviously, and it just super smoothly just shifts you through the gears, whether you're going up or down. It is a really nice feature to have. It is really nice, especially, you know, if you're reaching up, scratching your nose, or, you know, turning the music on and off on your headset, whatever it is you may be doing. So just kind of one of those nice things, creature comfort things that, you know, I really enjoy that Tiumph did on these. Now, another thing that's worth mentioning, especially as I'm sitting here cruising at 20 miles an hour on the freeway, is that the power on this bike, like, you can notice it's there, but it doesn't feel like you have to use all that power, if that makes sense. It's very happy going low speeds. It really doesn't feel like, you know, a lot of bigger displacement, higher horsepower bikes really feel like you have to be on it like all the time. And I don't get that feeling at all with this. It feels like a very comfortable cruiser. Obviously, I've been riding motorcycles for a very long time, and I can handle very powerful bikes. This feels like something really, even a beginner could probably hop on Not saying it's a great first bike, but even a beginner could hop on this and manage this power very easily. You know, and especially that's one of the big things with the big bikes. If you're like, oh, it's displacement, you got to be afraid of it. You really don't. I mean, the power's there if you want it, but it's really a very manageable motorcycle despite the weight and the power and everything that would make you think otherwise. It's actually quite pleasant to ride, really. So I went ahead and got off the freeway because I hate driving in those lockups on a motorcycle. And one thing that is worth noting is through these curves on like roundabouts and everything, while being, yes, a large and heavy and, you know, top heavy motorcycle, it feels really good. It really feels really good. I mean, it, you know, and I know it kind of said the same thing about the 900, and I'm going to go put this through the same course that I kind of did with the 900, but it feels a lot better than I was kind of expecting. I figured this would feel, you know, a little more top heavy, a little more reluctant to kind of get thrown around, but super simple, actually. It's really quite nice. So one thing I do want to note is the fact that it has the heated seat and the heated grips is really nice, especially for those cold weather rides. It is 94 degrees outside, and I'm not testing any of that today because there is zero reason to be putting that stuff on. The suspension on this actually feels very nice. I mean, obviously this road isn't super bumpy by any means, but you know, the electronic dampening and everything, and it's all pre-set up for what ride mode you're in. So, you know, we're in road right now. Go ahead and switch it to sport, and that's going to stiffen up that front end quite a bit. And it still feels actually quite nice. I will say you notice the bumps a little bit more when you bump that dampening up, which is to be expected. You know, obviously a stiffer suspension is not going to soak stuff up as much as a soft suspension will. See, so even at these lower speeds, I mean, we're cruising right along at 15 miles an hour right now. The bike doesn't feel tippy. It doesn't feel like it wants to, you know, go one way or the other. It's just very smooth, which I've ridden some bikes where, you know, at the lower speeds, it feels a little unstable up front. And I'm not getting that with this. I would imagine it's just due to the geometry of the frame and everything that they did. I've heard some people say, oh, well, Triumph runs a really vertical fork. It's like, well, sure, I guess, but I don't really think it's a bad thing. I mean, I actually think these things soak up the bumps very well. And it doesn't feel like wobbly or weird. I mean, it's just very, very clean. So I do want to take a second to talk about ergonomics. As I've said before, I said in other videos, I generally like a higher seat height. Right now I'm in the low position and it feels really good on my knees. If I were wearing boots, I could see justifying going up to the higher position, but I don't really feel it's necessary on this bike. I think there's a little bit more of a gap between the pegs and the top of your seat, just for a little added comfort. Now I'm gonna hop around here real quick. Now as far as standing up goes, feels very, very normal, actually. The bars are a little low for my personal preference, and again, that's personal preference. I like my bars to be almost my waist, really. It's almost a little ridiculous, but it does still feel really good. And of course, I'm 6 foot tall, so you know, your average person's probably a little shorter than I am. We're back on the freeway now because it's a little less congested. And I really have to say, like, I could see this bike being a really good option if you were wanting to do those longer road trips. This is in the stock form right now, so there's no, you know, highway pegs or anything to talk about, but as far as comfortability on the freeway goes, this is phenomenal. I mean, the seat is very plush. I don't feel like there's no part of my body right now that feels sore from riding like this. And all in all, I mean, the wind protection, obviously, you know, being a taller rider, I would like a little bit taller windshield on this for longer rides. I also don't like windshields that completely block out the wind, though. I like to have a little breathability, a little bit of air going past me, especially on hotter days like today. So, but yeah, I mean, if I were wanting to do a road trip, this would be the bike I'm going with. Especially for the versatility of, you know, being a Tiger. You can take it off-road, gravel road, forest surface roads, all that stuff. I really do think like this is a great choice for that. If I'm looking to do more strict off-road, looking to do more like BDR style riding, yeah, at that point I'm probably going with the 900. Of course, depending on the BDR style riding you're doing, this 1200 is plenty small enough, really. I mean, it's not overbearing by any means. All right, let's talk engine heat real quick. That's a very, very, very hot topic, no pun intended, with Triumphs. A lot of people bring up engine heat. I'm not really feeling too much. Half of my right knee is actually skinned off right now due to a little incident I had, and I mean, it feels hot all the time, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. Temperature-wise, the bike is definitely at operating temperatures, and I'm not really feeling uncomfortable about the heat in any way, shape, or form. All right, so we are going to head up here and hit some baby twisties, nothing too crazy. The one thing I really wanted to feel was these tires. So Triumph historically has shipped their adventure bikes, regardless of if you're on the GT Pro or the Rally Pro, with very street-oriented tires. So of course I'm expecting these tires to perform really well back here. Now I know on adventure bikes that's one of the first things people change out is, oh, I would want these tires, I want those tires. I will say if you're doing a little bit more off-road, I think more bite would not be a terrible idea compared to these tires. However, for street riding, they feel great. No tire vibration, very minimal tire noise, even though it's considered more of a dual-purpose tire. And even the grip through these corners, I mean, I'm not really feeling scared at all. And again, going back to the whole thing about, you know, the weight on these, it is a heavier bike than the Tiger 900. However, cruising and cutting through these, it feels really good. It feels just like it should. I mean, you do notice a little bit of an increase in the weight, but all in all, it's really not a bad experience at all. One thing I will note that is different than the Tiger 900, and this is kind of be expected just because of the way the engine is, this definitely likes to be in a slightly lower gear through some of these curves. I know I came through here in 4th on the Tiger 900. I'm in 3rd right now on the 1200. Now, could I drop it down to 4th and lug it a little bit? Yeah, sure, but I think partially just due to the complete different range in the gears on this as opposed to the 900 is probably where I'm seeing that. Again, going back to those tires, these feel great. The handling is very, very, very nice. The weight transfer to, you know, initiate your next turn is very crisp, despite being a tall, heavy bike. Now, is it going to keep up with, say, you know, a Daytona or a Street Triple? No, but even if you did want to go out and have a little bit of a spirited, you know, twisty road ride, it handles it very well. Now, I'm still riding currently in road mode, so I'm actually going to switch that over to sport real quick because I'd be curious to see what the difference is in the suspension setting alone. Oh yeah, you notice it immediately. In sport mode with that front end just stiffened up a little bit, you really feel it through these corners. You don't feel as dive bomby with the nose, which of course is to be expected. I mean, I'm kind of just explaining very basic things right now, but it's actually even more enjoyable in sport mode hitting this road. It's amazing how fast that suspension adjusts too. I mean, it was almost instant for me from switching the modes to how fast I noticed that difference in the dampening on the suspension. The $1 million question is who should buy a Tiger 1200 Rally Pro or even the GT Pro? In my opinion, I would say if your plan with an adventure bike is long trips and long distance while still having some off-road fun, get the 1200. If you're looking to do more just off-road riding, you know, probably a little bit more BDR oriented or similar style of riding where you're going moto camping, you know, shorter trips, not going super far, I'd say lean towards the Tiger 900. And the elephant in the room is if you are too short to handle the 1200, just get the 900. And I don't mean that in any sort of rude way. This is a tall bike. There's no getting around it. This is a tall motorcycle. You know, again, I am 6 foot. I have a 32-inch inseam. The seat is in the low position right now. And I will say it is noticeably taller than the 900. Despite the fact that on paper, spec-wise, it doesn't look like it's that different, it is noticeably taller. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I do like having your feet and everything up above, especially if you are doing some off-road riding. It keeps your toes out of the rocks and the roots and all that, but it's a big bike. I mean, there's no getting around that. It is a big bike. I will say it, you know, if you're looking in something in this kind of market category, you know, comparing this to say like a, I don't know, BMW GSA, or, you know, maybe even some of the bigger V-Stroms, bigger KTMs, they're all kind of tall bikes. This is no different. That just kind of goes with the liter plus displacement adventure bike thing. I mean, they're all big, they're all tall. This one does have a cool feature with the suspension though that I'm going to show you a little later that kind of makes that just a little bit better. So I'm going to run home real quick, and as per usual when I do these ride reviews, I am going to go ahead and wait for it to get dark out, because I really like to see headlight performance and just kind of look at the bike in the nighttime because they all look cool. And when we go back out at nighttime, I'm also going to show you that suspension thing I was talking about. Basically, Tiumph has a setting in here to raise and lower the suspension as needed when you're coming up to stops or leaving stops, so it makes it a lot easier to get your feet on the ground. So I'll show you guys all that in a little bit, but right now I'm gonna head home and I'll see you guys in a second. And now it's nighttime, so I'm gonna go over a couple things on this real quick. First and foremost, the headlights are actually very impressive. Pretty good spread. It's very similar to the Tiger 900. They have very impressive headlights on those bikes. And this is no different. I'll get to a dark spot here in a second to really show how well they work. All right, so here we are at this little park. This is low beam, and the ground does kind of come up a little bit from where I'm at right now. That's high beam, so it actually throws a really good amount of light out. Like I was saying, really good spread on there. Now let's check those fog lights real quick. Again, really awesome spread on those fog lights. The only thing I do kind of wish Tiumph did is where if you turn the headlights on, or the high beams on rather, the fog lights stay on. It's very much like a car where they kind of alternate, but otherwise really good light coverage. Like really good light coverage. Another thing I want to mention is the backlit controls on your handlebars here. Really easy to see exactly what you're doing. I mean, everything's very well illuminated. They did a really good job with this. Now I'm going to take you to a parking lot real quick, and I'm going to show you that suspension thing I was talking about. So one feature about this that I think is just super cool, and especially when it comes to the taller seat height, is that they actually have this adjustable suspension setting on this bike. So what it does is basically it starts low, and then as you get up to speed, it'll bring it back up. And then if you want to drop it low again, it's super cool. You just hold the button again and it'll drop it. So I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like. Basically, what you do is you hold the home button on the right-hand side of the steering. It's moving right now. Now it's done. And what that does is it drops your suspension. I can't remember exactly how much I put it. I'll put it down below. But it actually drops the suspension down. So not only is your ride height changed, but also your seat height, which is cool. Because that way, you know, if you're a shorter rider or something, you could hop on this thing super easy. You know, you're at a stoplight or something like that. You just hit that button, it drops it down, it'll automatically raise that back up once you hit about, I think, 50-ish miles an hour. And then after that, if you want to do it again, let's say you're coming up to another stoplight, you just hold that button again, it'll start dropping that suspension back down. So it makes it really approachable, even if you do have a shorter inseam. I really like this feature. It really makes these big bright bikes kind of less intimidating, especially for, you know, shorter riders. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one more time from this angle. We're just going to hold the home button. You're going to see it pop up in this bottom right, the suspension thing. I'm going to step back. And you can actively watch the bike lower itself down. I'll do one more clip from the back here. Again, you just hold this and it'll go back up. I think this is the best angle to see it at, because you could actually see how the bike is tilting a little bit because it's lowering that suspension. So like I was saying, you get up to 52 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, somewhere in there, and it will pop back up. So I'll go show you what that looks like. And it is noticeable, like even hopping on here, I mean, my feet much easier to touch the ground, as it should be. So as you can see, we're going 35 miles an hour. It's still in that lower setting. I'm gonna hop out on this main road real quick and get up to speed so I can show you. It'll actually start flashing, it'll move itself back up. All right, so we're at 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. So 52 seems to be a sweet spot, but you can see it's flashing right now. And while you can't necessarily tell while you're riding, it's a very smooth process of what it's doing. Now it's back up to full height. Now if I'm coming up to the stoplight, just hold the button again, it starts flashing again, and of course it turns green. So now it's lowering itself back down, and now it's fully back down. Now one thing I will say with that is you do kind of need to anticipate that stop coming up. It's not like it's an instantaneous thing. It's not as quick of a transition as it would be with you know, the suspension settings with your ride modes. There's a good little straight right up here. Try to accelerate a little quick here. And we hit 52 and it starts dropping itself back down. Or lifting itself back up. So while it's doing that, I'm going to show you what it looks like to anticipate the turn. All right, so now that we're fully back up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shoot for that pylon right there as a stopping point. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold this now. Say there's a red light, you're creeping up on it. And it's lowering itself, and we're all the way down. So really cool that they put that on here. I know some other bikes have it, like the Pan America has a similar system. I believe theirs is an auto up and down. I kind of like this because that way, you know, if you do want it in the higher position, you just have it lower to hop on or whatever, you know, you don't really need to think about it. But it is a super cool feature that they put on these bikes. Now, one really cool thing about the suspension setting on this is, I will show you, I'm going to come to a stop real quick. Okay, so we're completely stopped. I'm going to go to modes. Going to go to off-road or off-road pro, doesn't really matter. I'll do off-road pro, why not? Now you're going to see all the lights flashing. ABS disabled, traction control disabled. Well, when you put it in an off-road mode, I can feel it lifting up below me. What that is for is it will not let you use that lower suspension setting in an off-road mode. That way you keep your suspension high. Especially if you're going over terrain or anything like that, you don't want to be skidding the bottom. And now if I actually try to do that setting, you'll notice nothing's happening. It's because I'm in that off-road mode. Really cool thing that they did that. It's really important, obviously, to not be skidding the bottom of your bike as much as you can. Obviously it happens, but they just thought of everything when they were doing that suspension setting. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch back into a normal mode. We'll just go to road, pop that on. And there we go. Now I want to show you the braking performance on this bike because it's actually very impressive. So we're going to do my typical, we're going to go to 35 and just mash it. Very, very fast stopping performance. I did feel just the slightest little bit of flutter in the rear brake there for the ABS to kick in. Now, one other thing that you'll notice is on this one, so I have this in the road mode right now, which of course is going to be the softest suspension setting on the front for comfort. I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy into sport. All right, now we're in sport. So now the front end should be a lot stiffer with that dampening. Gonna do the same thing up to 35. While it still has dive, you can definitely feel it was a lot stiffer before going down. Now, the last little thing I'm gonna do, if you saw my Tiger or other Tiger video, you know how much I love cutting through here, is we're actually gonna do a quick little slalom with this bike just to show the capability of the handling on this machine. Mind you, this is a 550-pound motorcycle I'm doing this with, and it's effortless. Truly effortless. I mean, it's quite impressive how well this thing actually handles. It's really impressive how well this bike handles. I mean, there by no means should this actually handle as well as it does. It has a really light, sporty feel to it despite its weight, which I have to say, like, out of any of the adventure bikes I've ridden, the Tiger lineup really seems to do the best with that. I mean, even if you're wanting to come in and just do really low speed, tight turns, it's effortless. I mean, you can get pretty much full walk and just kind of sit here and just do little spins all day long. I mean, it's just a good bike. And it goes to say for any Tiumph, I mean, they're all very balanced motorcycles. Even the Rocket, which I shot a video for the Rocket, I still need to edit that. But their heaviest motorcycle, and frankly the motorcycle that by all means, I don't know why it exists. I mean, it's just an anomaly in the space of two-wheeled machines. But they're all just so balanced and so precise feeling. It really, I mean, you have to ride one of these to truly get an appreciation for just how good these are. Give a quick walk around of the bike while I'm doing my final thoughts here. Right now it does have the low beams on with the fog lights. Just a really good visibility from the front. They are very bright headlights. People are definitely going to see you, which is obviously important for safety reasons. But yeah, I think it's a great bike. Is it, you know, is it something that I think everybody needs? I don't think everybody needs this bike, but I think the people that are wanting a really good touring bike with really good off-road capabilities, this thing's the ticket. I mean, it's really hard to go wrong with getting one of these Tiger 1200s. Whether it is the Rally Pro like what I'm riding or the GT Pro, both bikes are going to do phenomenal when it comes to just overall handling and comfort and performance. I mean, I haven't even ripped on this thing that hard because it's still in break-in, but it's pretty impressive, really. I mean, it's a really nice, smooth power. It doesn't feel jolty or jerky or anything. So if you guys like this video, feel free to check out our other ones. We're both on our Facebook page, which is just Empire-Cycle, or our YouTube channel, which is also Empire-Cycle. And if you'd like to come in and check this thing out and take it for a test ride and really see, you know, what it's all about and see how much you like it, feel free to contact us. We do test rides for free. As long as you have your endorsement, just bring your riding gear, show up, and we'll let you take a bike out. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.